All right, we are live at the Flora-Bama. It's the Next Rail guys. I'm Ryan Brown. That's Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Colonel Dan Vogle from the Flora-Bama with us, representing the United States Army.
Yeah.
Colonel Dan already on.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
We'll have Navy representation later, but it's the annual Army-Navy party at the Flora-Bama. The room we are in, the main room here at the Flora-Bama, will be packed with active duty and veterans from the United States Army, United States Navy, and Marines. I think we had some Marines here before, right?
You get some Marines. You might even get some Space Force folks in here.
Oh,
we gotta get them out of here, man.
Yeah.
They show up.
Yeah. Where are you on the Coast Guard?
Yeah, we'll welcome them in here. I mean, we welcome everybody, you know. But
You ever seen the movie Cynical Woman? And the cop pulls him over. He's like, "Yeah, I was in the military." And he's like, "What?" And he was like, "Coast Guard." He's like,
yeah.
"Coast Guard."
Coast Guard.
Air Force.
Air Force, yeah, we'll see some Air Force people here.
You
Yeah,
might,
Their
yeah.
team's not playing.
yeah, everybody's welcome,
Hey,
right?
by the way, your team this year is really, really good. Obviously, 11-1. First year in the American, they win the conference championship, dominate Tulane last week. It's got to be fun to see your team actually one of the better teams in college football.
Absolutely impressive. Yeah. I mean, that game against Tulane was incredible. And I don't know if this is true. You guys probably know, but I heard their quarterback, who they call Captain America, I heard he got an invite to New York for the Heisman.
Bryson Daly.
Yeah.
Did he?
I heard. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's true, but
Right.
it's just cool that his name is being mentioned in that regard, because it hasn't been mentioned since Roger Staubach, probably.
Yeah, for a service academy quarterback,
Yeah.
being even in that discussion. Yeah,
Yeah, maybe Napoleon Kaufman with Navy.
yeah, maybe so.
Did
Yeah,
he was a finalist.
Get an invite.
He was a finalist.
But I mean, Bryson Daly's got 29 rushing touchdowns. I mean, that's tied with Ashton Genty for the lead in college football.
Yeah.
So, dude has had an incredible season.
Absolutely incredible. And that offensive line is a monster.
They won the Joe Moore Award last night. Did you know that?
I heard they were being mentioned. I didn't know if they were going to
They were surprised at their hotel last night,
Wow.
and they were given the Joe Moore Award. So
that's really cool.
yeah, that's pretty awesome. And if that is right, if Bryson Daly got an invite, I mean, the pub they're getting right now, and much deserved. Jeff Monken's a hell of a coach.
So, was your last post in Italy? I know you were.
what I would call my last real assignment was in Vicenza, Italy. Yeah, I was the garrison commander there.
Yeah, so you're one of those videos we see where there's the United States Army watching in Italy. So, what was it like overseas when this game was being played?
Well, it's awesome. I mean, and I've been overseas, deployed in both Iraq and Afghanistan when this game is on, and it's something that everyone rallies around, and if you can, you take time out of your day to go watch it, over there it's
out of the middle of the night, right?
Middle of the night, a little different, but yeah, it's super cool. It's super cool. It's neat to be a part of it, and a lot of camaraderie and bringing folks together and just taking a break and enjoying the game.
Did you ever think about living over there? And the reason I ask is I've got one of my best friend's sons is deployed. He's in I forgot what part of Germany he's in, maybe Munich. But he's like, I don't know if I'm coming back to the States. Like, this Europe thing's for real.
Yeah, I mean, so the Italy was fantastic. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. The people are fantastic, and it's just such a unique experience. And your ability to travel all around Europe is just fantastic. It was an awesome assignment. Great people.
I was going to ask you best food: Iran, Afghanistan, Italy.
Oh, come on.
It's pretty easy. Yeah, the Italian food is great.
What
man.
about Afghani wine? Any good?
Yeah, you might want to wave off on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard I would love to go to Italy and eat the food, but I've heard like the pasta is just so fresh and organic, like you can eat it all day and don't gain weight almost.
No, it's fantastic.
That's what I've
If
heard.
you get a chance to go to Italy, go.
Yeah.
I mean, 100% go. It's a great time. People are awesome. It's just such a unique place.
Yeah.
Pass on Iran and Afghanistan.
Yeah, I would wave off Iran, Iraq, Syria, and all. Don't go to the Middle East.
Yeah.
There's not I spent some time in Jordan, and it ain't a whole lot.
Where are
of
you
fun.
originally from?
I grew up outside of Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, how did you get into the military?
So all of my uncles served. My dad served, and
So you kind of knew it was.
it was kind of the path. Yeah. My brother, West Point graduate in 1994, and so he was the one that kind of was like, "Hey, dude, you need to get your stuff squared away." And I wound up going to the Citadel and then going to the Army from there.
Where did you serve before Italy? You wrapped up in Italy, and obviously you did the tours of duty in Iran and Afghanistan.
Iraq.
Excuse me, Iraq. My apologies.
Yeah.
My apologies.
So I did 26 years in the Army, and I bounced around quite a bit. Most of my time was on the East Coast between Fort Bragg and Fort Benning.
Yeah.
Did you feel like right then when you said Iran that it felt like he was like, you're not supposed to announce that yet, that we'll be there soon?
No, God, I hope not. Yes, I hope that wasn't the case.
It's like, no, we're not supposed to tell anybody that.
You can't. This is Colonel Dan Vogle with us, and we'll get Navy representation in a moment. Skip Kraus is going to join us. Former Navy fighter pilot, played football in Annapolis, by the way. So Skip's going to join us, talk a little of the Navy side. I heard that this is one of the most amazing things I've ever heard about our United States Army, or United States military, really. The initial Iraqi war, that at the time the war started, the Iraqi military was the third largest in the world.
Yep.
I believe probably China and the United States, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So the Iraqi military, which, I didn't realize that at the time, but that was the third largest military in the world. 48 hours after the war started, it wasn't even the largest military in Iraq.
Right.
That's incredible to me.
Bit of a paper tiger. Probably.
Yeah, found that out in a hurry, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's an incredible stat, though, that they went from the third largest military in the world to not even the biggest one in Iraq at the time.
Yeah, that was a complete big win right there. Combined arms victory for sure. In the early stages of Iraq.
Yeah, no doubt.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, figured that one out in a hurry.
Yeah.
And we see that in college football, though, too. Strength of schedule. You could have a team ranked number 3 and they hadn't played anybody yet.
That's right.
And the number 1 team
America
comes rolling in and
undefeated.
I like it.
Yeah. So what's your prediction today? How you feeling?
Oh, the Army all the way.
Yeah.
I don't, I tell you, I don't know if they'll cover the spread, though. I think it's
still
going
6.5.
6.5.
Yeah.
Total's 39. I don't know. I mean, I've got my side that I like in this game. I heard Jeff Monken say it basically crushes our year if we lose this game.
100%. I mean, it'll be a contest no matter what. I mean, Navy's going to show up. Army knows they're going to show up. Granted, they raised that championship trophy last week, but I mean, if you were watching that game at the end of it, they're like, beat Navy. I mean, their focus is beating Navy. It's their whole season.
Yeah. I mean, that's wild to see you win a conference championship, first of all. I mean, that has not happened at the time. But then you got to flip the page that quickly to the most important game after playing for a conference championship. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, I'm sure they're dialed in. They've been dialed in probably all week, and their focus. I mean, one of the great things about military and all the service academies is the aspect of discipline, and I'm sure they enjoyed that win, but they probably quickly shifted focus to today.
Yeah.
Have you ever had the opportunity to go to the actual game? Today it's in Landover. It's been Philadelphia, New York.
No, it's a bucket list for me. I did one of the cool things my freshman year at the Citadel. We played Army, and I traveled up there, and my brother was a junior at West Point, and so that was one of the first. I went to Mikey Stadium, and I sat in the stands and was rooting for the Citadel. But it was super cool. I got to spend time with my brother and see him, and I had the opportunity to visit West Point. When he went into the academy and been up there a couple times, and it's absolutely incredible. But I've never been to the Army-Navy game. My buddy Jake Kurtzman and his brother Josh, who's a West Point guy, they've been, and I'm kind of jealous. I want to get up there one of these days.
They've talked about moving it around. I always say it's got to be in a cold place. That Army-Navy game, you're supposed to be able to see your breath, I think. It's supposed to be nasty, cold weather.
Yeah,
that's the only place you play that.
Well, and you got to wear your wool uniform, so put them to the test, right?
Do you think they'd ever do it at the Rose Bowl?
I mean, I think the Rose Bowl would be happy to host it. It just seems too nice out there.
It does. Would you be
weather-wise?
Would you want an Army-Navy game in Pasadena?
Man, I tend to agree with the team here. I mean, there's something about it being cold and seeing your breath, and everyone's in wool uniforms. Man, if they were up there, they'd have to be in like their summer whites. That'd be terrible.
It would be, wouldn't it?
But it would be cool. It's a historic place for sure.
Well, you for those that don't know, Colonel Vogle here works at the Bama, so you guys are always great hosts for us at the Flora-Bama. Well, we love coming down here. We love your staff. You guys just do an amazing job.
And we love having you guys. You guys are awesome. I mean, it's so cool to have you guys here. I think this is really unique, and we love having you guys down. And anytime, you guys are always welcome.
Yeah. Well, we'll make you regret that sentence. Trust me.
I was hoping for snow. I just checked forecast 37.
What's
37 is sunny.
37
sunny.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You really
It's not
don't
gonna
see
feel
that
like Army
Army
Navy.
Navy.
Wow. What are your predictions? Where are you thinking we're going to win?
I think Blake Horvath will have a really good game against you guys. I think it comes down. I think Army 20-17.
Yeah.
I like Navy to cover though.
Do you?
Yeah. I like Army to win, and I think they'll score a lot of points. I like this game to be like 23-14, maybe 23-14 Army.
Yeah.
So did you play the over?
I did play the over.
That's 37 points. So
I know.
you gave out the under, but you played the over.
I know. I'm just
Okay.
I'm all over the place.
You're all over.
That's the way Dunaway plays.
I've been at the Flora-Bama the past 2 nights. My,
That's why Dan was like, "Damn, you went hard yesterday."
I was looking for you guys last night. I didn't see it.
Well, we're here.
Were you?
Yeah, we were right over under the American flag.
But
And the-
we tapped out at like 10 o'clock.
well, yeah, we were here till 10 or 10. We're
Okay.
old men. We had to.
Yeah, we went home and watched Heat. Brown had never seen Heat. And I
I've
was
never
like,
seen
Oh,
Heat.
you
it
got to
is-
watch
it's
that.
the greatest shootout scene in cinematic history.
Oh, yeah. The gun work there is incredible.
It really
Yeah,
is.
you saw less bullets in Afghanistan than it had.
They really get after it.
But you think about it, like they had to bring in like tactical guys to be like the technical advisors in that because Val Kilmer and Robert De Niro using ARs. I mean, they look like they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, absolutely. It is an impressive scene. There is no doubt about it. I mean, the way we call it IMT, individual movement technique, how they move in that scene across cars and vehicles, and that's an awesome movie.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
handle day drinking well, so my Flora-Bama rule is if I start drinking before the first 12 on my clock, which I did yesterday, I'm not upright by the second 12 on my clock, which by the time
Okay.
you saw me or would have seen me last night, I was already flat out.
He's got too many rules.
Too many
Yeah.
rules.
Yeah, he told me, he was like, I don't know how you were doing these Rumpelmint shots and then drinking bourbon.
Yeah. He mixes alcohol. I'm a one alcohol guy. If I'm a beer guy. Vodka. I can't bounce around.
All right, that's all right.
My wife has a stronger constitution than I do. She can drink anything.
All right, Colonel Dan Vogle, thank you. Good to see you, Colonel Vogle.
Man, thanks,
Yeah.
guys. I appreciate
Yeah,
y'all,
thank
and welcome back to the Flora-Bama.
Yep.
We love having you guys.
Absolutely.
We love your show, and we just appreciate you guys.
Thank you. We
Yeah,
appreciate
thank
you
you.
guys. Thank you.
Give us a go on.
All right.
Go Army, baby.
We'll bring up Skip in a moment, get the Navy side of this. First, before we do that, away from Army Navy. There was some breaking news in college football today in the state of Alabama where the Auburn Tigers appear to have found their portal quarterback, at least one of them. They're probably going to sign a couple out of the portal, but this would you assume would be the one they signed to start, obviously, in Jackson Arnold.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if they go get another guy out of the portal.
I would.
Yeah.
Well, that's been the conventional wisdom, though, is that they're going to try to get two
Yeah.
portal quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted to get,
I'm not saying it's going to be a good one. I'm just saying they might
I
get
don't
another
want to say Curtis Rourke out of the MAC, but if you wanted to get a guy that knows coming in, he's probably going to be quarterback number 2
Or 3.
or
Or 4.
3. I mean, Jackson Arnold's going to be the guy. Just turned 20 this September, and he struggled this year. And I think a lot of it was his top 5 receivers were always hurt.
Yep.
The offensive line, which won the Joe Moore Award, I think 3 years ago, was absolutely awful. They gave up 42 sacks this year. But I mean, this kid, like on his heels nonstop and very athletic, by the way. Last 5 games, averaged 67 yards rushing per game in those 5 games. He hasn't thrown an interception since September.
Yeah, I'd like the way he reads the field, which is huge with Hugh Freeze. I did have one Auburn fan that after they saw our video on social media, really, she DM'd me and she said, "Hey, my fear is we just signed the next Peyton Thorne." And I was like, no, this guy has a better skill set than Peyton does to start with, right?
He may. Now, Peyton Thorne had a better season than Jackson Arnold before coming to Auburn.
Yeah.
A single season better than Jackson Arnold, but skill set wise, I mean, Arnold probably is the better of the two.
The guy was a 5-star recruit, Jackson Arnold.
A Gatorade Player of the Year, National Player of the Year.
He was the number 1 prospect coming out of Texas. He was the number 10 prospect in the 2023 class. I mean, I think the upside is tremendous. Former running back. You saw his ability to run against that Alabama defense earlier this year. And the ironic thing is Auburn's SEC opener, Oklahoma.
That's right.
Is Oklahoma familiar there?
Yeah, in
And it's
Norman,
out
by the
there,
way.
back to Norman will be the return game. So my question now is, what's next? This is supposed to be very active in the portal for Auburn. There's supposed to be buyers at several positions. You got Alston back at running back. You've signed some people in recruiting classes at running back. Do you go look for a running back? I see where Justice Haynes, the Alabama running back, who's in the portal, is getting interest from Michigan and Ohio State. Would you jump in if you're Auburn into that conversation?
Yeah, why would you not? I mean, I don't think we've seen Justice fully unhinged. You saw him in the Rose Bowl, which was really interesting, getting those carries last year. But Alabama running the football was kind of a mystery this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think Justice Haynes is really good.
Yeah.
Oh, a 5-star recruit, another elite blue chip guy that's going to end up somewhere. What do you do next at Auburn? What are you looking for?
Well, I mean, I look, I don't think you ever have enough good receivers.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you saw it this year with Keandre Lambert-Smith, and then Cam Coleman came on late, but you never really had that number 3 guy.
Right. And Lambert Smith's on to the NFL.
Yep.
So,
You're going to need to backfill there.
Well, you watch what we'll see today between Army and Navy. You never have enough great offensive linemen.
There's that too.
And I would say Auburn hasn't been elite at the offensive line in a long time. So portal on the offensive line would be
That's
good place
fair.
to go.
But, I think there was a fear that maybe some of these young receivers would maybe bolt in the portal. But I think now you can really sell them. Hey, we've got this guy was viewed as the best quarterback coming out in the 2023 class.
Yeah.
Yep.
Real quick, Bobby Auburn fan says Auburn will absolutely get another portal quarterback. Freeze says he wants 4 on scholarship, and Arnold is only number 3. So
Walker
White, Jackson Arnold. You get another one out of the portal,
Deuce
and
is coming in.
yeah,
That's 3.
and Deuce Knight. So you got depth now. But again, I'm not saying they're going to go get another guy that will challenge Jackson Arnold. I just think you've got to build depth out of the portal, and there'll be a kid out there that's like, yeah, Mike could go somewhere small and start, or I can go play at an SEC and have a fun time.
Has Bobby or any of the Auburn fans watching us live now from the Flora-Bama, have they heard a NIL number rumored?
Don't know.
I would guess for Jackson Arnold, and I could be way off, I would guess $3 million would be his number.
That's nice money. I like
It's good money for a starter. Yep.
Yeah, and look, I mean, the way you look at this is, Sam Darnold only made $10 million this year.
Yeah.
And, he's in the MVP conversation. So, obviously the SEC is not the NFL, but it's closest thing to the NFL. So if you can get a frontline starting quarterback, $3 million, it's probably a steal.
So that's a little bit of the college football breaking news in the state of Alabama. Obviously, we'll talk some more Army, Navy. Skip, you want to come on up? Skip Kraus, he played for, he was in Annapolis, played for the Naval Academy. Fighter pilot, retired Navy now, and he hangs around here at the Bama some. How are you, Skip?
I'm good to see you guys.
Captain.
Another good show,
Yeah.
Retired, retarded, whichever you want to choose.
We talked about this yesterday, for back in the day when academics did mean something, it was a lot to watch a guy that was able to, keep his grades, give a commitment to athletics and play football. But when you're at the Naval Academy, you've got academics, you've got football, and you've got service. I mean, how difficult was it to balance those 3?
And that's the same with all 3 of the service academies. You're balancing, not only difficult academics, they're all 3 outstanding engineering schools. And even if you're a history major there, you get a Bachelor of Science degree. My roommate was a poli-sci major. He took 8 hours of electrical engineering required.
Wow.
Required.
Wow.
So,
not great.
And so football players don't get to pass that and take, sports management.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
Criminal justice.
And then you also have your Navy commitments. And during the summertime, when a lot of guys are working out, getting ready for, their 2-a-days or whatever, spring ball, we have commitments during the summer, just like the cadets at Army and Air Force. We get sent to the fleet to try out different things, whether it's to come to Pensacola and see what airplane flying's like, or go on a submarine or go play Marines and stuff like that. So you lose a lot, not only during the academic year, but also during the summers when a lot of teams are, the guys will have individual workouts together as teammates.
When you go play Marines, what does that mean? Tell me about that.
Literally,
How fun
play
was that?
Marines, that was the most fun in the world.
Tell me what you do.
Summer before my second class or my junior year, they took us to Quantico for a week, and they divided the class up into groups. And so we had probably about 60 or 70 guys, and they divided the group in 2, and one was the defending force, one was the attacking force, and the attacking force got to jump on a Marine helicopter with all your gear and an M16 and blanks, and at least I think there were blanks.
Only one way to find out, right?
Yeah. Well, I didn't hit anybody.
Okay, good.
But so then we go attack a landing zone and try and capture it from the other guys, and then the Marines throw a good beer and pizza party for us.
Oh,
they know how to recruit there. I can tell
That's
you.
right.
Oh, they didn't get me. I like Vogle said. I came from a Navy background. My dad was a Navy pilot academy grad, and my mom was a Navy nurse. So I went in the family business.
Yeah. So where did you grow up?
I was a mutt. I grew up
Yep.
born in California, but Annapolis is actually my hometown.
Oh, how about that?
I went to high school there, junior and senior year, and then went to junior college year before I went to the academy.
Yeah.
Did you
So-
play with Napoleon Kaufman?
Napoleon McCallum.
McCallum, that
Yeah,
was it.
yeah. And by the way, the Army quarterback finished 6th in the Heisman voting.
Okay.
So he was too low to get.
The
Brought to
invite.
New
Yeah,
York.
but boy, what a
But
heck
if
of an
he'd
honor.
gotten 4, Navy was willing to buy him the ticket
Yeah,
to go to New York.
Yeah, don't be the
Oh,
game
yeah,
today.
Go ahead. Yeah, no, you're not going to miss much. You know.
Yeah, going to New York. Yeah.
But no, so no, I was ahead. I was class 79. So
Okay.
I was there with George Welsh. Our superstar teammate was Phil McConkey, who played 4
Oh,
years for
yeah.
the Giants.
Oh, yeah.
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 Yeah, he saved me graduating. I registered right behind him. We were the same major, so whatever classes he took, I took.
Yeah.
Not that there was a football plus up, but you know.
When you were playing with McConkey, because he was that guy that always stood out for those really good Giants teams, and Parcells and Lawrence Taylor, Harry Carson. But could you tell he was going to be in the NFL?
No, not at all. I mean, you know, when
'Cause,
you're
I mean,
in
how
Navy,
big is
you
that
just don't
guy?
think, he's about my height, and a lot lighter than me, and he's a hell of a lot faster. But he, you know, he was always a tremendous athlete, and he was not recruited to Navy. A blue and gold officer, who is kind of these guys we have around the country that suggest kids to go to the academy to play sports, called from Buffalo, and he was the Buffalo player of the year, I think, in high school up there, and Navy hadn't even looked at him because he was so small. And this retired Navy guy up there said, "Hey, Coach Welsh, you need to look at this kid." So he brought him down. He played on the plebe team, and in the first plebe game that year, he scored 2 80-yard touchdowns on passes and 1 on a kick return.
Oh,
He has
wow.
3 touchdowns. The next week, he was on the varsity. You know, so he was special, and he still is. I saw him at our reunion a couple months ago in September.
This is one of those games, like, especially watching in a venue like this with a lot of, military members, you get chills just watching the setting, actually playing in that game. I mean, what's the experience like? What's the atmosphere like?
I didn't get to play. I hurt my knee my first year, and
Oh,
so I was
no.
kind of out. So I didn't get to actually get on the field there. But as a little kid growing up, my dad was academy. We went to games. My first one was 1967, which Navy won, and we were, supposed to lose. Army was 8-1 that year, but it's special. I'm in the brotherhood at Navy, having played a little bit, and the guys that get on the field there, both sides, it's such a monumental experience that you're playing for not only everybody on the team, but everybody at the academy, but everybody in the fleet, and that. I mean, they wear the patches on the jerseys, and of course now they've got the fancy jerseys where they pick a unit, like they did the Jolly Rogers, who were in my air wing, my first deployments, and so, it's special, and you realize it, and the traditions, and from day one there, I mean, the first thing they teach you is go Navy, beat Army. And every time you're walking down the hallway or jogging, chopping, they call it, in the inside where the dorm is in Bancroft Hall, every time you turn a corner, you have to do a square corner and yell, go Navy, beat Army. So you hear that throughout the halls all year long.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Ingrained.
Oh, yeah. And it doesn't matter whether you're on the team or not. It's beat into you. I mean, know it, so it's special. It really is.
So after graduation, you ended up in a plane.
Well, I first ended up on a ship. I was
Right.
An Uber driver for the Marine Corps. I drove an amphibious ship up in Little Creek, Virginia, and did that for 17 months and came down here to Pensacola to flight school. And I ended up, and actually, I know Steve Wilkerson always wants to call me a fighter pilot, but I'm actually an attack guy. I flew A6 Intruders and dropped bombs.
Oh, wow.
So that was our bread and butter, was low altitude night in the mountains, and then hit the target with a lot of bombs. We'd carry 22 500-pound bombs at a time.
So when you say low altitude, what's
100
low
feet
altitude?
over the ground
100 feet over the ground.
at night in the
At night.
mountains,
So
doing about 480 to 540.
Dude,
kind
come
of
on.
like the Top Gun Maverick mission.
I've actually, they filmed that out in Fallon. I was, after my first tour in aircraft on the Nimitz in the East Coast, I went to Fallon, Nevada as a tactics instructor, and where they simulate that and filmed all the first Top Gun movie, and I think a lot of the second one, was in Fallon at our bombing ranges out there. And so I've flown that low level route that they simulated
How amazing is it that Tom Cruise can actually fly like that?
Well, he's actually a pretty good pilot.
Yeah,
in his
that's
own right.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
I mean,
crazy
yeah,
though
he's,
when you think about what dedication that would take and
Yeah.
training.
Well, the first celebrity I ever met that was hanging out with Navy pilots was Jimmy Buffett.
Oh, really?
Famous from down here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jimmy,
Could he fly?
you know, Jimmy was a good pilot. He had
Wow.
his own couple airplanes. Anyway,
Dunaway read his book.
yeah. So he credits
Favorite author.
he credits going through Navy ejection seat training was saving his life when he crashed his amphibian up in Long Island Sound. And that song "Bubbles Up" on his last album that came out after he passed
Yeah.
is about what they teach you in the helo dunker. When you get out of the helo dunker, follow the bubbles because they go up, and that'll lead you to the surface. Because if it's at night,
You're so disoriented.
you're disoriented.
Yeah.
You don't know which way is up.
So did
Wow.
you have to do the training? I'm always going to movies here, but Officer and a Gentleman, where they drop you in the water.
They used to do that, and I did that. Yeah, it was
that
called
terrible?
the Dilbert Dunker, and it was a jet canopy that came down to sled, flipped upside down, and then you had to egress kind of down, go down in the water, and then get out and come back up. So it was actually kind of fun. But I was a strong swimmer. The water never terrified me. But my roommate on the other hand, who was from New York City, never swam in a pool his whole life. Terrified the heck out of him.
Well, I would imagine. Yeah.
So
So
in your heyday, how long do you think you could hold your breath for something like that? What could you do?
I don't know. In the heyday, probably a couple minutes.
A couple of minutes?
But yeah, but you're taught not to. You're taught to exhale, breathe out,
really?
or you'll blow your eardrums out. Yeah. So it's scuba diving.
Yeah.
That's what they teach you with that.
How
too.
long could you tread water?
Well, you had to do it as a midshipman as part of our survival swimming in uniform for, I think it was 2 minutes with your arms out of the water. So just treading water with your legs.
that 2 minutes has to feel like 3 months.
It felt like a long time.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Of course, I was a lot better shape back then.
Yeah.
Like you guys, I am past my prime.
So, hey now.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so we're glad you noticed. So, where all did you fly low level? So, when you were flying the low level bomber?
We trained. My first squadron tour, I was stationed in Oceana and Virginia Beach, Virginia, and we flew through all the mountains in West Virginia and down in Southern Virginia. The Blue Ridge down there, and then out in Fallon, we'd fly through the Sierra Nevadas, and I've flown in the Rockies. There's low level training routes for the Navy and the Air Force and Marine Corps all around the country that are published that the FAA knows about. There's procedures for calling in and dropping down and being able to fly. And you have to avoid a lot of Indian reservations in small towns.
Did you?
They don't like the noise.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Did you ever almost have that accident?
I came close twice to pulling the handle. One, I had a soft cat shot off of Lebanon in '85, and barely had enough flying speed. Had it not been a day shot where you had all the peripheral vision in the world and all the other senses,
Yeah.
I'd have pulled.
Hold your
If
mic a
it
little
had
bit
been at
closer.
night,
Hold your
no.
mic a little bit closer if you can. There you
Oh,
go.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're all good.
if it had been at night, I'd have left that airplane.
Did they let
Yeah.
you know how much that plane is worth? To hey, you gotta
if
take
you're
it
gonna
that
pull the
last
handle.
minute.
You know what? It was never worth more than my life.
Fair.
No matter which one. And I flew the A6 was my primary. I got a little over 2,000 in that, and then 500 traps, and then I've got little time in the A7 and the F18. Which were A7 was cheaper, F18 was a little more expensive. But
Yeah.
What was the second time? That was the first time you almost pulled. What about the second time?
Second time I was doing a bombing run behind a ship, practice bombs, and it was a Mediterranean day, milk soup toast, and somehow the altimeter stuck, and I saw water and yelled pull and pulled the handle or the stick back and got out of there. And we had a couple Turkish F-105s flying over us that had dropped bombs earlier, and he called me up and said on the radio and said, "Hey, how many G's you pull?" And I overstressed that airplane when I brought it back to maintenance.
I pulled enough to get me out of there, right?
The right answer was enough.
Enough. Yeah, enough G's.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we were talking before the show over there, and he's right. I mean, there are a lot of people that don't like what college football is becoming, but the game you watched today is what college football has been. Look at this uniform right here. I mean, this is something.
Okay.
We've got to get him on camera.
Yeah. We got to get that guy a job so he can buy some new clothes. You know,
Cam is going to have to come on camera with us because that is an amazing Army uniform.
That's
Yeah. I mean, you got to give him credit, right? Even a Navy
kudos
guy.
to him. Kudos to him. Yeah.
Yep.
You know, hey, I love these guys all but 3 hours a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I know. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this is impressive. Good to see you, Cam. How are you? Yeah.
How are you? What's going on? Still slipping into that.
Yeah.
Beat Army, brother.
Go Army.
Yeah. How long ago did you get that?
1992, summer of 92.
That is impressive. There's nothing from 92 I can still fit into except the car.
I pulled it out of the closet today, and I got the pants, and the pants were still starched from the West Point Laundry facility.
Oh, how about that?
Why the decision to wear it today? We've seen you the last couple of years here.
A little bit of spirit, you know.
Yeah.
We got to get out there and crush Navy, kill them.
He's got to look good when they
Destroy
sing
'em.
Navy Blue and Gold second.
That's right.
Is this the best Army team of your lifetime?
No, actually, we had a better one when I was there. So I was there 92 to 96, and I think we cracked the top 25. I think we were 23. I think this year we made it to 18. But I mean, I'm a little partial to my team. We won all 4 years that I was there, and then I went back for the next Army Navy game in 96. I guess it would have been, and we won that one too. So I had 5 straight while I was up there. Pretty awesome.
Let me ask you. This is kind of weird, but if you guys would have beaten Notre Dame, do you think Army would have gotten in the 12-team playoff?
Couldn't have kept him out. There's no way you could have kept him.
It would have been really difficult. But the interesting thing is you still have that game today after the field was announced last week. So we I think Dunaway, we mentioned it maybe back in October when both were undefeated. Like if they went out, what's going to happen here?
I think they said the rule would be they couldn't have been penalized for today's game. Today's game would have been just for the commander in chief. And if Army had been unbeaten and were in the playoff field, they'd be in the playoff field. No way to get kicked out of it. I think that's the rule they would have played.
I think they would have had to put him in there. I think it would have been really tough. I mean, at the time, Notre Dame was ranked like 5th or 6th when we played them. And I think if we would have won that game, I think it would have brought us up. Because I want to say we were somewhere between like 16, 17, 18 at the time. And I think we would have had a real shot.
Is Bryson Daly the best Army player in the last 25, 30 years?
He's pretty solid.
Yeah,
he's pretty good. I mean, we went through that drought against Navy where we lost probably 14, 15, 16 games in a row, which is it was brutal on the other side.
But Navy's had a great year. And
the team did a lot better this year. We had a new offensive coordinator, put in a little bit of a variant on the traditional option that we've been running, throwing the ball a lot more. And Blake Horvath knew that last spring and really worked on his foot positioning and his throwing skills. And he was 10 times more accurate this year than he was in the 3 games he played last year. Unfortunately, he's been banged up a little bit. So right now we're kind of hoping he plays today. He has been. I talked to a buddy of mine in Annapolis who played ball up there, and he went to practice the other day. And so Blake has been taking reps with the first team. So I'm expecting him to play.
Well, I am too. I got him plus 6.5. So.
Money on it. 125 games. We've never met with more wins between the two teams. So this is sort of iconic. Both really good at the same time.
I didn't know that. That's pretty interesting. But they've got a great team. Yeah, they got a great team. It should be a good game today.
You agree? Good game
I think it's going to be a heck of a ball game. I think it'll. I don't think either team. The spread is gone. I think this one's even up as far as I'm concerned, and obviously Navy's going to win. But
obviously,
I'm just saying. I've seen the guys, and I've seen every Navy game this year. So, and I've seen a couple of Army games too. So, and they are good, but we're going to beat them.
It's a great service at the Flora-Bama.
Yeah,
bringing me a
That's
Bud
pretty
Light.
good.
Yeah.
All right.
I should
I got to get up in the pecking order because they didn't even
want the
offer
Bud
me
Light?
one. They were like,
I'm offering you one.
I'm good. Thank you very much.
You need to get a higher job up here, Cam.
You can't drink in uniform though, right?
Those are long. Those days are long ago. I don't think this really qualifies. I'm supposed to have like a sash and a saber and.
Yeah, they were drinking in that bar in Top Gun when your favorite scene ever when they sang to
You
Kelly McGillis.
lost that. Yeah, that's realistic, right?
I tell you what, we I drank with Jimmy Buffett and rolled dice with him at the Miramar O Club, not the bar that was on the movie, but the back bar in flight suits. So I've drunk in uniform. To say.
So did you really make it to every Navy game this year?
No, watched them.
Oh,
Watched them.
gotcha.
I went
I
to
was gonna
one.
say,
I
that's
went to
pretty
my
impressive.
reunion game. Went to my reunion game. So yeah, no, I didn't travel.
I found out this morning we got 69 classmates from the class of '96 at the Army Navy game today. So
Right. Well, that's a
pretty
good turnout.
Yeah,
Was
Good
that your
turnout.
class?
that was my class,
Okay.
'96.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little elder statesman to him. He was, he would have had to salute me. So that's good.
Do you agree? We had Dan on a little bit ago, and he's like, "Yeah, the season's not the season if we don't beat Navy, if we don't close the deal."
It's the whole deal, man. There's not that you could be undefeated all season long and you lose to Navy. That's a bad day. But that's not happening for Army.
This will
year.
be 3 consecutive if you guys win today,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
We were ranked 17 my senior year going into the game, and I tell you, I don't think I was more nervous at an Army Navy game than that year, because after such a great and a ranked season, to lose to Army would have just done. And we were scheduled for a bowl game too, so we played in the first Holiday Bowl that year. But
I don't know about you, Dunaway. Like when we talk great rivalries in college football, we talk about Alabama, Auburn, obviously where we originate out of Birmingham, Ohio State, Michigan. There's a lot of people that say Navy and Army is the greatest rivalry, and now that we've kind of we've got a different perspective, I think, on this game coming here. I mean, you can feel how much it means.
Some people say it's the Navy Army game. Some people say it's the Army Navy game.
It's definitely the Army Navy
Yeah.
game. Nobody says it's the Navy Army game.
It's America's game, and I think that's what makes it the greatest rivalry, is that you put away, after Ohio State and Michigan's played, Alabama and Auburn's played, and all the other rivalries, this standalone day. I know they're going to start playing bowl games on this day too, but this standalone day, everybody gathers and watches this game across the country, and you have a rooting side because of your family members who have blessed us so much with their service, or whether you've blessed us with your service. Everybody's got a tie to this game, and I think that's what makes this the greatest rivalry.
well, in the world too. And
Yeah.
you talk to Colonel Vogle about that, watching from Italy and all that. And I've watched from ready rooms and aircraft carriers when I was deployed, and it's special. It really is. And I wish we'd have done it when I was there. And I don't know if this happened when you were there, Cam, but when they started the tradition of the losers, the winners standing at attention behind the losers to sing the alma mater after the game, and then they reverse that and the losers stand behind the winners. That shows America true sportsmanship and what this game is really all about. We're all one team.
Yeah, and we have controversy now with planting flags afterwards in these rivalry games. I respect the way this rivalry ends every year. It's really good.
No, it is good, and they say that this is the only game where everybody on the field is willing to die for everybody not on the field.
That's exactly right.
And that's true, And I think the other thing that's cool is, some people think about like Army families and Navy families, but like the reality is a lot of the people out there who have service members in their family, like it's a mixed bag. So I mean, you even look at me. My dad graduated from West Point in '64. He was a LERP over in Vietnam. My father-in-law flew Hueys over in Vietnam, kind of protecting all of those guys. He was one of the original Sea Wolves. My brother-in-law was a Marine. My father-in-law's he had 2 sons in a second marriage. They're both in the Army now. So, there are a lot of families out in America that genuinely have like connections to all the different services and just more of like a kind of a history of leadership and serving the country. And I think that's really cool.
I'll give you time to think about this, but I wanted to ask you, think back to that one day, if you could go back during your time serving, that you'd want to go back to, whether it was your first day on campus, or whether you were a game, or maybe it was somewhere you were stationed overseas, a training mission, whatever. Think about it for a second. Remind everybody you're watching. We're live at the Flora-Bama. We're here every year. The room will be packed up here with current military personnel, veterans of the military, friends and family, and we'll watch the Army-Navy game coming up at 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern on CBS. And do you have a memory that pops to mind instantly that if you could go back in time, the old time machine, and be back there for one 24-hour period, where would you go?
Yeah, I'd have to say the day I graduated from the academy was probably of all the days. And I had a lot of, it's hard to say. I mean, I've had a lot of special days in the fleet, but, that's where it all started. And my dad was a grad, and so it was real special having him put my shoulder boards on and my mom down at the field there. And that was probably it.
What about you?
I think back right before I got out of the Army, I competed in the best Ranger competition, and I think back to that time at Fort Benning, Georgia, and surrounded by my family, and competing with Staff Sergeant Colon, Roberto Colon, who was my buddy, and we started out. There were 45 teams that started the best Ranger competition. They're all two-man teams, and we finished 17 out of 21 that day, and it was pretty awesome. So it's a 3-day competition, and basically you get about 3 hours of sleep, and you're going the rest of the time, and it's just a testament of kind of the skills that all these warriors out there have, and that for me was probably one of the highlights of my time, man.
I've never asked this question, but back to the rivalries. If you're an Ohio State fan, you pull against Michigan every game. If you're a Michigan fan, you pull against Ohio State every game. Do you guys pull? Like, will you pull for Navy when they're not playing Army, and will you pull for Army when they're not playing Navy?
Yeah, I always cheer for Army. Never cheer for Air Force, but I always cheer for Army.
I don't know if I cheer for Navy, but I'm not really watching those games. Like I'm happy to catch the Army games, and it's rare that I watch a Navy game unless it's Army Navy.
That's a rivalry. Yeah. And it also makes it sound like Navy's nicer than the Army guys.
Hey, we're cold-blooded killers.
Asked and answered.
Well, really appreciate you guys taking some time with us today. Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for putting on an incredible show here every year. Of course, 365 days a year, you guys put on an incredible show.
Thank all you guys for being here, man. It's so great to see everybody in the room, and I know it'll be packed later today. And just welcome all of those. Help us welcome all the midshipmen that are going to be here today. We'll have boatloads of them. So I think last year there were probably, it felt like 30 plus guys here, and it's just there are a lot of people that genuinely love their country here today, and it's a super fun day here at the Flora-Bama. So thank you guys for being a part of it.
All right, give it up.
I'd be remiss to not thank Cam too, because the Bama here, I've been coming down here for a lot. You've seen me a lot up with Jack and some of the other bands up there, but I tell you what, I've been to Army Navy parties all around the country. This is the tops.
Yeah.
Go Army, beat Navy.
Let's go.
Beat Army.
Basketball happening as we speak. Auburn is playing Ohio State in Atlanta. They're one of the best teams in the country. Alabama later tonight. On our platforms at Next Round Live, you'll be able to get coverage of that all day long there. And we talked about Jackson Arnold. We talked about Justice Haynes. We haven't talked about yet a guy with a Navy background in his family, Bill Belichick, who is now coaching in college football. And he has roots back to Navy. He talks fondly about watching his dad coach there. He'll be watching this game today. It wouldn't surprise me at some point if he's mentioned or brought up in the broadcast, or if he's part of the broadcast today. Now that you guys have had time for it to settle in for a couple of days, Belichick back in football, this time on the college level, your thoughts are?
I would say good for North Carolina based on the fact that they do have a commitment to football now. Not only bringing in Belichick, but also kind of guaranteeing that NIL money they're going to be able to use. And I fully expect him to be part of the broadcast at some point today, whether it's on phone or in booth.
Yeah, with that background, you would have to think, right? And for him, obviously any publicity is good publicity. When it comes to recruiting, it's just the opposite of what Skip was talking about earlier. Captain Cruz was talking about earlier is that, all of football now is becoming more like professional football outside of these teams and Air Force and, some of those teams like that. So, it makes a little sense that you would try to tap into that with Belichick, right? That's a guy that's made his life in professional football. You see if that translates into the college game, and North Carolina getting more of those players. They want to go to the NFL and think he's the ticket to do that.
We're going to be here for a few more minutes, and then we're going to get off the stage and let them start setting up for their big party, raffles, and a lot of fun that they have leading up to the game that kicks in now about an hour and 15 minutes, and coverage on the big screens and the TVs as people fight for their seats here. I did want to ask about the game today. It does seem, if you think Navy keeps it close, or if Navy is able to win the game, the first thing you got to do is stop Army's rush attack, which has been tremendous this year.
Yeah, I brought up the fact that Bryson Daly, 29 rushing touchdowns alone, which is tied with Ashton Genty for the lead right now in the FBS. They got to slow him down. But I think, we were just talking about Blake Horvath. When healthy, man, he's been really good. 25 total touchdowns for him this year. I just think it's going to be a hell of a game. I think it's going to come down to the wire. I did want to ask you this weird question, you guys, about Bryson Daly. He's only played 3 years. If somebody came to him and offered him millions of dollars, what is he?
Can't do it.
I think he's committed to his his love of country and his service.
Boy, I tell you, and I don't know what the reaction to
because
that
I
would-
think David Robinson got out of his commitment after his fight. Did he not?
I
Yeah.
think what he ended up doing was he
Skip may know. Ask him.
did-
Yeah. You just grab the mic. Yeah, you can help us out.
Yeah, so David Robinson worked a deal with SecNav, Secretary of the Navy. He did 2 years on active duty on a ship in San Diego and then went to the Spurs. The reason that was allowed at that time was he grew his plebe year at the academy his freshman year. He came in at 6'8".
Yeah.
The maximum was 6'7" with a waiver to 6'8". He grew to 7 foot.
That's right.
Yeah.
So he was technically eligible for what they call, not physically qualified for commission.
He was too tall,
He
essentially.
was too
Yeah.
tall, and they could have let him have his degree and walk away. He didn't want to.
No.
His dad was a retired Navy Master Chief. He said, "I committed here. I want to serve," and so he did 2 on active. And while he was playing with the Spurs, was in the reserves and did recruiting in the offseason.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
I knew he kept a commitment that he kept doing while he
Yeah.
was playing with the Spurs.
And same thing with the Army quarterback. Nil is irrelevant.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, portal's irrelevant. Well, unless you're in your first 2 years. First 2 years, you can sometimes, depending on how you got there, can leave, with no commitment.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But once you take your first class day, junior year, you're locked. They call it commitment day.
I can understand why.
Fine line between bravery and stupidity.
Thanks. All right, so there's a good update. So
Yeah.
irrelevant question,
Yeah,
then, right?
Yeah.
Well, boy, that would have been bad PR that would go still an Army quarterback.
No,
if you're paying him money.
But my point is he's that good. Like,
Oh, yeah.
he's
Yeah.
one of those guys. He could basically play anywhere.
Yeah. All right. So as we wrap up here, the room is going to start filling up at the Flora-Bama. They do this every single year. There will be tons of. There's someone with a Navy ship on their head. In fact, that is pretty impressive.
Oh, wow.
I like that. I've not seen that yet.
It's an aircraft carrier.
I believe
I
is
think.
that an aircraft carrier on your head?
Yeah.
Yes. Wow, that is very impressive. I like
Yeah.
that.
If somebody walks in with a battleship and a destroyer, are we going to play like a board game in
Yeah.
a moment?
Yeah.
Human battleship.
Yeah. But the room will fill up. Obviously, I think the breakdown, it's normally more Navy people. The Army people will still show up and make noise, but it's normally more midshipmen and
Seems like
And-
Army's here first. Seems
well,
like there's more
Army
Army in the
camp-
house. Yeah.
well, we've got a gentleman here that's got on a shirt that says Army because no one played Navy as a kid.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a great
I mean,
shirt.
that
Yeah,
is very true.
it's very true. Nobody says let's go play Navy in the yard. We only played Army in the yard. Yeah. Do we,
Look at that. Go Navy, beat Army.
Yeah, he's got the
That looks like that's made of silk.
yeah, that is a
Yeah,
good looking shirt.
That looks flammable.
It does look flammable, absolutely. But no, the room will fill up. It is always a fun time anytime you're at the Flora-Bama, but a fun time on Army Navy weekend with everyone that's around here. So let's wrap up. We kind of made a prediction earlier. Let's put it in stone here for the people in the room. What do you think, Lance?
I am threading a needle here. I think Army wins the game, but it's tight. I like Navy plus 6.5.
I'm going to go Army 27, Navy 20.
Okay, so Jim has already changed scores.
No.
Yeah,
He had, for
He
the
got-
record,
yeah.
you had Navy and under first,
Yeah,
right?
I need the over.
Now
I
you've
need
got
the over.
Army and over.
I really didn't pick a winner, so I just need the over. I just need points.
Yeah.
So I just need it to be 21-20.
That's actually a Dunaway play, Jimmy America, we call him. That's a Dunaway play right there. I'm not going to pick a side. I just need points. That's all I want.
Score.
Yeah. It's hard not to go Army. I mean, the American Conference was a good football conference.
Oh, man.
Hey, let me tell you what, that
Navy's part of it.
that went over Tulane.
Oof.
Well, that was an impressive win.
Yeah, it
Lance.
wasn't even close.
Yeah, I mean, they whipped them. And then, as we were talking about, though, to have to turn around and play your most important game of the year. Like, there are a lot of teams that a conference championship game is their most important game. You turn right around and play your most important game of the year now. That's emotionally for them got to be, I would guess, difficult. I don't know. These guys are cut out of different cloth, though, right? What might affect another player wouldn't affect West Point.
Yeah, totally different cloth. But this is, to me, unlike any other rivalry game. They could just play one football game a year, this game on their schedule, and I think it would satisfy the fan bases and the players. Those other games just lead up to this one.
We have a
I always respected the rivalry. I didn't know how massive it was until we came here. So I
Yeah.
can't even imagine actually going to the game and what that would be like.
I mean, I think for everybody, though, it's kind of a bucket list deal, right? I love coming here, but one year, if we're able to actually go to the game, I might have to pass.
I think it shows up, in the down years probably more when you watch the intensity of the game when it's 3-8 versus 2-9, and it was just as intense as it'll be today when they've got for the first time in 125 years 19 combined wins between them.
Yeah, if you had, I don't know what Army's win total was in the offseason, 7 maybe.
Yeah,
I bet
over's the way to roll for both this year, probably.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well,
Yep.
yeah, Navy had, I think, 3 consecutive losing seasons before this year.
Yeah, so really, really big positive season for both teams, and today's the day.
Today is the day. All right, we'll test the room real quick as we wrap up. Here you go. Everybody gets their chance. Who do I start with, Army or Navy? Who's the road team?
It's always the Army Navy game. Right?
It is Army Navy game. All right, so here we go. Go Army. Okay, go Navy. All right, there you go.
One more try.
Go Army.
Yeah.
Go Navy.
Wow.
All right, there you go.
Army got the benefit of the.
Army's the only one that got the bell. Yeah, I noticed.
Well, remember that when you're tipping later, Navy guys.
Yeah. Thank you to the Flora-Bama. Thanks to all of you that served our great country. The United States is nothing without the U.S. veteran. That's what makes our country the greatest country in the universe, no question asked. And we thank you for that. All you active duty and veterans that are here, thank you for being here. Everybody enjoy the game. We will see you back in Birmingham, 9 o'clock on Monday morning.
God bless you, and God bless America.
There you go, Jimmy D.